Welcome to the Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. As the nation's first community college, JJC has been making history since 1901. With more than 70,000 alumni, we have an endless supply of stories to share. Listen in to find out how deep our alumni's JJC roots go and how far they've been able to branch out into our community and beyond. Welcome back, everyone. We're so excited to have today's alumni guest with us because he's been making the news quite a bit around here these last couple of months. And after about 10 different friends, colleagues, acquaintances sent me messages with links to his articles and information saying you need to have this guy on your podcast, I thought, okay, it's time. It's time to get Arron on here. So I would like to welcome everyone. Arron Sain. He is a fitness coach and chef, JJC alum. And Arron, we are so thrilled that you could be with us today.
Man, I'm very excited about being back home, here with you guys where where I could say where the journey really started at back when I graduated from high school. So I'm very honored to even have this opportunity to come here and speak with you.
I love when I was reading some of your articles and hearing you speak on different shows. You are so proud of your hometown. There's not an article where you don't talk about being a kid from Joliet and being a student at Joliet Township. So what sort of gives you that sense of pride about Joliet?
Joliet, first and foremost, just the area is a blue collar place where hard work really pays off, especially if you can make it out of some of the environments unscathed. And since it is such a small town, wherever I'm out in life, I have to represent because I tell a lot of my clients and people that I am in big rooms with, like, there's a lot of geniuses that I know because I'm on the backside with them. There's somebody within my Rolodex of friends or people or acquaintances that I can just pull out like a Swiss Army knife and give this person a call, give this person a call. So I feel like it's my job to always represent us in a good light wherever I am.
I love that. Yeah. And before we get to the incredible stuff that you're doing and why you've been making the news, I want to talk about your time here at JJC. You and I are roughly the same age. We were 98 high school grads. And so after high school, you came here to JJC. And so I want to talk a little bit about what brought you here and why culinary became your focus at that time.
Well, ever since I was a child, watching my mom in the kitchen cooking, like I remember the first time I saw her make me French toast. When she asked me, was I hungry in the morning? I was like, yeah, can you make me something to eat? And I saw my mother grab very minimum ingredients, milk, eggs, some vanilla, bread, and a skillet. And I'm looking like, what in the world are you going to make with that? And why? I don't like soggy bread. She was
Yeah.
just like, you know what, let's go have a seat and it'll be ready in a moment. And when she put that piece of bread in front of me with some syrup and some butter on it, and I took my first bite, that's when I fell in love with like cooking because I was like, man, it didn't take much, but what's on this plate, it did something to my spirit as a child. So when I saw that happen, I would just start pushing the chair up to the stove and just jumping up there and just watching, just as I
Yeah.
can catch a glimpse of the magic that was happening.
I love that story. I heard you, I think, tell that story when you were on Good Morning Chicago. Were you on that? What were you on?
I did a demonstration on WGN, I think. Yeah. So that was pretty cool too. And that story, I remember it like it was yesterday. And that's why I chose to go into culinary arts. I used to sit on the couch with my mother and watch the Food Network and just watch all these great people just create things. And cooking is its own love language. I like to joke with people. I said, if you really want to know how much somebody loves you, ask them to make you soup. Because when you were a child and when you were sick, my mother used to go in the kitchen and she used to whip up some chicken noodle soup and she would really put her heart into it. So a lot of my clients were like, man, what did you do with the food? What did you do to it? Or how did you cook it? I said, man, I put love and affection in it. And me, I have to cook from my heart versus cook from here. Now I know there's certain recipes that you may start here, but for me, I have to put my heart and soul into it because that's how I show my clients or my friends how much I care about them.
Yeah. You also said on that episode on WGN how you loved cooking for your friends and your family because you felt like that was a way for you to be able to express how much you care about them and how much you love them. And I just thought that was what a sweet way to explain like what cooking means to you in your life. And I know some of that passion really then sort of took hold when you were at JJC. You loved your experience here. And you mentioned how much you really liked working in the restaurants. What was that like as a student to be like actually working in the industry while going to school?
Man, JJC, back when I came here for school, I was a bit nervous because it's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
I mean, back in those days when we had Chef Von Hoff, Chef Mark Mazinski, Chef Mike McGrill, Chef Haggerty, Chef Emming,
Powerhouse.
Chef Ferrara, like we were walking into the kitchen with all stars. And it was like boot camp. I mean, but the blessing was each chef had their own lane that they stayed that you could
Mhm.
go talk to each chef about certain things. Certain chefs were a little bit more stern with things. Chef Von Hoff did not want to hear any excuses
No.
at all. Chef Von Hoff would give you a review of your plate in the raw. There was no holding back. But his correction was correction of stern love. Chef McGrill used to come to school in the suit, the tie. I used to look at him like, man, dude, I want to look like that when I grow up. Chef Ferrara was like a genius. He just knew everything. He knew how to do a little bit of everything. Chef Haggerty was the guy with the big hands. I think he used to be a boxer. So we had so many different characters in the kitchen. And then along with that, you had the workers that
Mhm.
worked at the college. Veda used to be in garde manger with the salads and stuff like that. So it was just a melting pot of knowledge, a melting pot of characters, and different levels of love, tough love. You know what I'm saying? Certain people that you can come talk to if you didn't understand things. But at the end of the day, when you got into that kitchen, it was like competition.
So you're saying that JJC kind of prepared you for some of this competition we're going to talk about that you've been able to be a part of, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the final two chefs that really poured into me, Andy Chibata and then Chef Tim Bucci. Chef Bucci, man, Chef Bucci was probably the first chef at school to actually yell at me. And I was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was so intense. I would watch him practice for his masters, his competitions and stuff like that. And he used to be so focused that I used to watch him and be like, if I could ever get like a fraction of that level of focus and take a little bit of that and roll it up in who I am, I believe I could be successful at this thing. I mean,
Mhm.
Chef Bucci, our final exam was a mystery basket. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. And he is crazy in the kitchen, but
Yeah.
crazy, it looks crazy to somebody that's not in the culinary world, but in the culinary world, you can drop Chef Bucci anywhere against anybody. And 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to come out victorious.
That's amazing. We had Chef Andy on the podcast back in February, and he said we shared a lot of the behind the scenes of what the cooking world is really like and just what it takes to be great, what it takes to have people know your name when you're in a room. And I think it's just so amazing how many chefs we have as instructors here who fit that bill. Bucci's name is dropped all the time in Roots and Branches videos and podcast episodes is just like being one of the best. And you got to train under that whole crew. And I think that's wonderful. And I want you to know that most of them were the ones who were initially sending me your articles. They were the first ones to be like, this guy's amazing. You got to highlight him. You got to talk about him. We're so proud of him. So just so you know, I think that they're looking up to you now too.
I mean, for me, it was to get a chance to work with those guys and to even earn their respect. Like, I got emotional when Chef Von Hoff like reached out to me and told me he was proud because I'm like, he's Chef Von Hoff. It takes a lot to impress him. He's not easily moved at all. For him to reach out and say, "Man, you know what? I'm proud. I'm proud of you." I mean, even one time he had DM me because I had did a cooking video with some of my jewelry on. And this is the type of guy Chef Von Hoff is, and Chef Aaron. You don't need all that stuff on. You can really cook. And just by him saying that to me helped recalibrate me because sometimes as chefs, like you said, to get your name out there and with the way that social media is, everybody's a chef.
Sure.
Like, I didn't call myself a chef until a master chef called me chef, and the crazy thing about it is he's one of my biggest mentors. His name is Chef Daryl Schuler, and I think Chef Schuler is the first Black master chef to ever pass the test.
Amazing.
And for me growing up and going through the culinary industry and journey, I never had a Black chef to, like, look up to. And come to find out, Schuler was like, I can't remember, it was Chef Bucci. I was down at the Culinary Center, downtown Joliet, and I was talking with Chef McGrill and Chef Bucci, and I brought up Chef Daryl Schuler, and Chef Bucci said, "That's my friend."
Wow.
So this guy's my mentor. Chef Bucci, you helped raise me, and both of y'all are friends. So I'm like, I'm a very spiritual person. So for me to be handed from this guy to this guy lets me know that I'm of that vibration, that I'm of that energy, I'm of that cloth, I'm cut from that cloth. So
Yes, you
sometimes
are.
sometimes it takes things like that in life to happen for you to
Mhm.
really feel validated. I had a situation where the first time I met Chef Schuler at his institute in Atlanta, I walk into the kitchen and shake hands. I'm thinking we're just going to meet. This is how I knew him and Chef Bucci were good friends. I walk into the kitchen, it's just produce and proteins all over the table. I'm thinking he's getting ready for service. He says, "Oh, okay, take 2 minutes, look at the table, come up with a menu, and I'll be back." Mind you, this is first thing in the morning. And I'm like, oh
Have
my,
you had a coffee yet?
nothing,
Oh, man.
nothing. Because I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
And so I come up with an idea. He comes back. He said, that's a really good, I like that. I'm gonna put a twist to it. I said, okay, cool. So he said, okay, I want you to start doing this and doing that. So I'm nervous because this is a master chef. And so I'm starting to cook. He comes over my shoulder. He looks, he says, "Oh, I don't have to look over your shoulder. You know what you're doing, chef." And
That was the moment.
when I heard another Black man that's a master chef look at me and call me chef, I said, "Oh, it's on now." I never had the validation, but to be called that by somebody of his stature, that's when I believe my sails really opened up and I caught a gust of wind, and then I really started believing in myself.
Well, I mean, Aaron, it's obvious. I mean, people listening to this podcast right now, people who've known you for years, I think that your passion for what you're doing right now is obvious, that you were made to do this. And you did that thing in life where you thought, okay, well, I love cooking, I love what I do, but I also need to make money. And so I'm going to put this maybe passion aside for a minute and go to something more stable, something that's going to make money. And you were not happy in that space. You were successful in it, but you were not happy where you were, and you thought, "You know what? It's never too late. I really wanna get back into this." Right?
No, that's 100% right. I was working as a high voltage electrician, a substation operator at ComEd. I was there for maybe 10 plus years. I was making really good
Mhm.
money, had my own
Mhm.
work truck. I started work from home. I finished work in my driveway, but I was very depressed because I wasn't living within my purpose. You know,
Mhm.
even the Bible doesn't really even talk about what you're passionate about. It says your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in bodybuilding, I got into bodybuilding and I just really loved the sport and I love the hard work and I love the dedication that it took and the
Yeah.
level of focus that you had to have. Same thing in the kitchen.
That's a great comparison.
And I'm sitting in the driveway with my friend at the time, and he was like, "Man, you know what? You should really stop trying to be the best looking man on earth. And how about you try to help other people be the best version of themselves?" He said, "The engineer that's in the studio with the artist makes just as much money as the artist, but nobody just ever sees them." And I was like, "Man, you know what? Let me try this out." And then that's how my meal prep company really was birthed, just in that one conversation,
Oh,
because I wasn't thinking about cooking. When I was bodybuilding and cooking my meals, I was just cooking my meals, and this is when Instagram first started, and I was just sharing what I was doing.
yeah, just sharing your meals and what you were cooking, recipes, stuff like that.
But like I had said, my gift for cooking made room for me, and other opportunities came from that. My mom always used to say, "Do not despise the days of small beginnings." Just because you
I
may
love that.
perceive something as small does not mean that it can't grow into something great, hence a seed. An apple seed starts off very small, but with the right care, with the right level of discipline, and with the right level of focus, it can sprout out and feed everybody.
And that seed has definitely grown because you have worked with quite a few famous people, athletes. How did you get to be where you were helping, like, train and cook for, like, Nick Cannon?
Getting out of my comfort zone. There is nothing that is going to come with great reward from you being in your comfort zone, in my mindset. I know everybody has their own journey that they have to travel, but for me, sometimes it only takes you to take one step and God to take two for you. But you have to start.
Right?
The easiest thing is to start, in my opinion. The hardest thing to do is to wait.
Yes.
Because waiting with expectation and hope will cost you way more than somebody that expects nothing from life.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I had no clue what was gonna come from this, but I used to sit on my mother's porch as a kid with my best friend. I used to be like, "Man, one day Imma be around Nas. One day Imma be around Jay-Z." I was like, "One day, I don't know what Imma be doing, but Imma be in these rooms." Who would have thought it was me putting food on a plate?
Well, you were kinda setting up for that, you just didn't know it.
But it's like the Hansel and Gretel effect. Sometimes God just leaves you crumbs, and you never get the whole picture. And sometimes, like, when God will speak to you about a certain thing, it's never with a bullhorn. It's
Mhm.
always a whisper. That's why it's very important to isolate yourself sometimes so you can elevate your hearing. You
Mhm.
know, when you're around too many people, especially people that are not pioneers,
Mhm.
settlers, people that set their lot in life by a nice river next to a forest with fertile ground. They can build, they got livestock, they got fruit and vegetables. That's comfortable for them. So for somebody that's trying to travel through life and achieve things that most people from your community can't see, you're always probably going to get a little bit of backlash because of other people will put their limitations and fear on you.
Yep.
But what I've learned in life is a lot of people want the same blessings as people, but they don't want the same level of sacrifice.
Yeah, and also, I think there's you told me you don't love the word patience,
I
and I
don't.
guess I know, I guess maybe I don't either, but it took a lot of that for you in each step. Nothing while you're completely blessed and while you have the gifts to get you where you were, you've talked about how, you've had to be patient, you've had to take rejection. In fact, the fact that you were on the Food Network show, before you got on No Utensils Required, you actually tried for a different Food Network show.
Yeah, I mean, everything is in God's timing. I remember I was in Arizona working with James Conner and got a call from a casting director. I cannot remember the exact name of the show, but it was with a chef. I can't remember her name. She was the chef that was on Supermarket Stakeout with me. But the show was set in Tuscany, I think. And it was about chefs being out there and battling doing Italian cuisine.
Okay.
And the lady had called me and offered me an opportunity to be on the show, but I was working, so I couldn't do that. And then I had filled out for another show, but I had professional experience, so they couldn't use me for that until my phone call rang another day, and it was a casting director said, "Hey, I got your name from somebody else that could not use you because you have professional experience." He said, "But on my show, we don't care.
All
Would you
right.
like to try out or would you like to send in an application?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." Now, to me, I'm like, "Okay, cool. This is like the third or fourth time I've done this, so whatever."
Yeah.
I sent it in and he was like, "The casting directors, they really like you. Would you like an opportunity?" And so I'm like, "Cool." See,
Awesome.
it's all cool when you sitting at home and you
Yeah.
watching them on TV like, "I would have done this. I would have done that."
Yeah.
Man, until you get there and they say the time starts now and you realize, at least on my show, there is no cuts.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, that clock is still ticking.
Yeah.
So it was a big eye opener for me.
Talk a little bit about what that competition was on that particular show. What did you have to do?
So the show was called Supermarket Stakeout, and we filmed it in Arizona outside. So the show is set outside of a grocery store, and each contestant gets $500. And as customers are coming out of the store, we all have to negotiate and bid on their carts, and the customers get to keep the money too. So for the first round, you could buy as many carts as you wanted to,
Okay.
but you couldn't look into any of the bags.
Oh, wow.
And each round had a theme. And then the second round, you could look through the cart, but you only can get one cart.
Okay.
And then the last round, you only got to use 5 ingredients. So you could look through the carts and you could buy from as many different carts, but you only got 5 ingredients.
Oh, wow. And then you have to
And then you have to create something based on whatever the theme is. So the first theme for the first round was 2 hands. So whatever you had to make, you had to make sure that the judges had to use 2 hands in order to successfully eat it.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
And then the second round was like fried foods, but like bar style food.
Okay.
And then the third round was dessert on a stick. Trust me, it was crazy. And for me, just my luck, I had the most jacked up carts out of everybody. I'm looking at my competitors and I'm looking at this. She got steak, she got tortillas, she's got avocado. I'm like, how the hell did you get that cart? This person has pork tenderloin, chicken, shrimp. Everybody else has stuff that's just a no-brainer. And I got frozen chicken, potato chips,
Oh, no.
eggs. It just made no damn sense at all. But growing up and watching my mom cook with little at times, God was like, "Oh, this is you. You was born to do
Yeah.
this right here." I mean, so what they did not show on the show was every round that I actually kept making it through, I would pray over my whole kitchen. And I was so fearful of the show. I did not want to I was trying to find a way to
Really?
get out of doing the show the morning of.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes. But I stayed prayed up and throughout the whole day, I would just ask God, like, just give me hints that everything is going to be okay. And it was like some really chilling hints that was like blatantly happening that I'm like, okay, things are gonna be okay at least. I just don't want to go home in the first round. Cause if I go home out of the first round,
oh.
my friends was gonna be like, oh man. Probably one of the chefs would have been like, hey, you know what, good job. But I'm a
Oh.
highly competitive person and I hate losing.
Well, thankfully, that show ended up turning out pretty well for you, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
And so you got celebrated. I mean, I know I keep talking about you making our local news, but I mean, you won that show. You were in lots of places and lots of people talking about your skill and what you were able to accomplish there. Is Food Network still calling you? Do they want you on some other stuff now?
Well, I had one of the casting directors had said that there's a couple shows, I guess, coming down the pipeline that he might think a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Also, I try not to focus on that and get right back to the task at hand. That's feeding the community, helping my private clients, and
Yes.
really trying my best to build this health and wellness empire. I just have a heart for people, and I just want to see everybody live and be the best version of themselves, especially from a health standpoint.
And that's so obvious too. I mean, you've got some fame going for you now. You're working with celebrities, you're working with athletes, you've been on TV, you're a name now in Food Network, but yet your focus still continues to be, like you said, feeding our community, taking care of people, still living in the area. And so maybe share just a little bit more about what Insanely Fit Meals, your meal service, provides for the community.
Insanely Fit Meals is a company that creates portion controlled meals that bring back fond memories of like your grandmother or like your mother cooking. Like I said, we cook from our heart. And we understand that when people hear diet food, it already has a bad tag with it. Like, okay, you know what? It can't taste that good. So people already go into it thinking, okay, this is healthy food. It's not supposed to taste good until they order my meals. And then they're like, wait a second, like, are you sure this is good for me? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, a lot of times, us as Americans, we eat way too much.
Mhm.
So to have the right amount of food sometimes is kind of foreign to us.
Yeah.
Even sometimes when people would say, "Man, I had bought your meals, it looked kind of small, but then after I ate it, I wasn't overly full, but I was really satisfied." Like, man, what do you do to the food? We cook from the heart. That's what
Yes.
it's about. I mean, I'm a firm believer in once the community and people actually believe that me and my company actually care, we'll be the first company that they run to.
Yep. And you've got a great following already locally for that meal service. And I laughed too when I was watching back over that WGN episode where you were cooking for them and the first thing you put in the pan was a little bit of butter and they were like, "Oh, you're putting butter in this meal?" And then you had to kind of educate that it's not necessarily about really any one ingredient. It's about portion size and it's about fueling yourself with the right foods and you can still enjoy them and you can still have those comfort foods and cook from the heart. And a lot of people just don't do that because life is so busy, life is so stressful, and trying to come home and cook like that, especially if you don't have that knowledge. I mean, you're providing an amazing service with very affordable meals that you know are healthy and that you know are good for you and they're fueling your body. And if anyone listening is local, I highly recommend that you visit arronsain.com. We'll make sure that we share that on our social media posts and in our show notes. But you need to visit there and see the menu. I see the menu posted every week. I'm so excited to try my first set of meals. But what else? Is there anything else you're providing in that service that's here in Plainfield?
Yes, I opened as of July 11th, I opened my own smoothie shop. And it
Amazing.
because working with celebrities and working with athletes, it's sometimes it's constant,
Hmm.
sometimes it goes dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized I have to create something else outside of needing famous people or outside of needing private work.
Yeah.
So I kind of went back to my gym roots. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I do so many different things. Sometimes it's just my head is going this way, going that way. I
I
have so
love it.
many different ideas, but the beautiful thing for me is everything is in the same lane. It's not like I'm going to go create a meal plan and then I'll be over at your house to take your engine out of your car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I opened up a smoothie shop inside of LA Fitness on Route 59. So now there's one hub where you can come get my protein donuts. You can come get my protein cookies. You can come
Amazing.
get a smoothie. You can also come get a meal. The thing about the meals is they sell out so fast that people are like,
Yes.
man, I was
I
just here 10 minutes ago. I'm like, man, you know what? People want their time back. A lot of people shop with me so they can get back family time because they don't,
Yes,
because meal prepping takes a very long time
it
if you've
does.
ever done that. So some
Yes.
people just say, Aaron, thank you for giving my weekends back.
I love that. Well, Aaron, I'm just so I don't know, I'm so proud to know you and get to talk to you today. I can't wait to try this, and it's just you're such a humble, grounded person, and you were so willing to be on the show because you love JJC, you love your community, and you wanted to share all these great stories. So I can't thank you enough for being here. And I never end a podcast episode without asking for your advice for future wolves. So now, you have experienced JJC in a culinary school, and now you've had this wonderful career and you've been able to reflect back on your time here. What would you say to students who are just starting out or thinking of coming to JJC?
Oh, man. What I would say is be flexible, available, and teachable in all areas when you come here. Put your ego aside because everybody does not know everything. That's one of the things that I've had to learn how to do. I had to learn how to be flexible, available, and teachable. When you allow those three components to have a pillar in your life, sky's the limit. You can learn a lot from everybody, even if it's what not to do. So that's one thing that I would tell the future wolves. And, anything you're trying to build in life is going to take courage. And sometimes you got to just make sure that you share your dreams with the right people. You can't share pioneer dreams to a settler mindset.
Yeah.
Stay focused and believe in yourself.
I love that. Such good advice. Thank you so much, Arron, for being here. This has really been a fun episode, and I wish you all the best on your local business. And I can't wait to see what the next article will come out with you.
Much gratitude. And on the last note, what I always say, it takes what it takes.
Love it. Thanks again. And thanks to all of our listeners. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. For more episodes, information, foundation events, and ways to give or get involved, visit jjc.edu/alumni.